The first part is the actual use of how do you think about doing visualization. The second part is a visualization that I actually worked with Michael Pack and the CAT. We're trying to balance access and mobility. That if on a local road you can have as many driveways as you want because the speed is slow and the access is most important. On a freeway, an interstate, you have no driveways on the road, and you actually have the safest road that we have in America at the moment. But most of the arterials that most businesses are on are somewhere in the middle. So that's the arena that access management plays in. We know that driveways are important because you use them to get to home, you use them to get to work, and you use them to get to businesses. The problem that research shows is that the more driveways you have, the more crashes exist on the road. This is the major problem. Access management at its simplest form improves safety by reducing the number of conflict points. So if a standard intersection has 32 conflict points and we put a median across that with a directional median opening in it, we've taken that down to 8 conflict points. But if you're the business that's on the side that didn't get the left turn, you may not be very happy about that idea. And this is the most common phrase that we get is, you are going to put me out of business. So that is how do we engage this problem? I serve on the TRB Access Management Committee, so this was something that I had wrestled with, seen the problems, and so what I'm going to do is just kind of share my basic philosophy about how to even go about visualization. So this is the second part of this, which is almost exactly what we heard in the plenary session this morning. His words were focus, watch where you're going, and act. So my way of doing this was to say, think, what is your purpose and how are you going to go about doing it? Show it, visualize it, and then evaluate how well you did. Same basic ideas, different words. So, what is the purpose and the concept? If we start with the purpose, you got to think about what questions you're dealing with. How does it work? Where does it go? What does it do? Why should we build it? What is the best idea? These are all different. You're going to come up with different answers based on the first question that you ask. So this is an important component that you're going to have to think about. Then you're going to conceptualize it. In a visualization, in some cases, are you going to do it on paper or are you going to deliver it on a PC? Is it going to be electronic? What are your two mediums? Are you trying to make it look real? Is that important? Or is it rendered in some fashion? So in the most simplest way, here's the kind of ways to think about that. Here are some examples. If I wanted to include a roundabout in an access management project, it would look different depending upon what you're trying to do, and the visualization would function differently. So then you actually visualize it. So is it a sketch, photo, animation, and CVE is my acronym for the Corridor Visualization Explorer, which is the tool that I will show you in just a second. We can take the same idea and present it in a bunch of different ways. Here's a knife. What is going to be the most effective way of presenting that? Here we are, middle of the afternoon. Is your PowerPoint boring? Does it put them to sleep? Do they end up by snoring, or worse, do they weep? Okay, we all may feel this at some point in time during this conference. And I'm going to give you a bonus tip here, that if you take your bullet points that you've got in PowerPoint and recycle them, and just copy them down into the notes section of your PowerPoint, and then think about what is it that you're trying to say, and that's the visual that you actually put on the screen. So as Michael Pack was talking about, sometimes it's not just the visualization itself, but how well you present it, and do they really understand what's going on. I could do a whole class on color, but if I boil this down, you see all the colors all at the same time. So when you look at a picture, you're seeing the whole picture. So when you're selecting colors, you have to know how they're going to work together. You need to keep it simple. You've got to have good contrast and good balance. Again, if you're looking at this image, it evokes a whole feeling because you're seeing it all at one point, and then you break it down and to see what's the data in it. Keep it simple is always a good rule to be kind of working on. And then evaluation of how well is your tool working. Is your purpose clear, and have you got the right concept? That's what you're trying to find out. Have I done my job well? So here is my simple visualization that if you go onto the web after this is over, you can download this and actually come up with a little paper version of what we're talking about to help you make your decisions about what's going on. You remember, it's I say, and then you open it up, and inside is this whole presentation in one folded sheet of paper, complete with instructions on how to fold it. If you want a fun thing to do, to say, what did I do at the visualization conference? If you got Viz, are you in a public meeting? How are you presenting that information? Is it graphic? Is it an animated graphic? Michael's done some great jobs of really being able to show you that data. Is it a CAD type drawing, which most don't usually get? Is it a photograph? Is sometimes just the best visualization that you can use. A rendering, this is what it'll look like when we've got finished. And I didn't load the videos, so I'm not going to worry about videos here. You've seen lots of videos in this session. If that's the basis, we've got a problem. We've got angry business owners. What kind of visualization tool can we use to engage them? So I went to Michael Manor and Michael Pack and Van Daniger were the team that I put together to try to address this problem because Louisiana DOT was writing a new access management policy, recognized the value of the tool, and said, here's a little bit of money, let's see what you can do with it. So again, looking at, we know that driveways and signals are both significant impacts to a roadway system along, and is an intersection or a roundabout. If you put a roundabout in, you have 90% fewer fatal crashes. That's a pretty significant safety issue. So we designed this tool, and if you go online to Teach America, you can actually see it in operation. But in the upper part, you can actually change the number of lanes, how many driveways are on the road, how many signals per mile, and whether there's a median in it. And you can actually see at the bottom what happens when you change that information. So this is a tool that could be taken directly to a businessman, and you say, we're getting ready to put a median, you're not going to get your left turn in because that two-way left turn lane is being closed, but we want to show you why we're doing this. So here's a tool for you to look at. So it shows you the number of conflict points that are actually on that road, and gives them an opportunity to learn a little bit about what conflict points are. So it will give them that information. It'll show you the seconds of delay per vehicle. It will show it is multimodal, so it'll show you the quality of service for both bike, ped, and transit, based on the very simple inputs. And it will show you crashes, so the serious crashes and the minor crashes that may happen. And since we're really dealing with businesses, we've got a little economic indicator in there also, that the important part of the indicator is it doesn't move. It's very static. I mean, it moves by 10%, but the bottom line is most of the strategies that we're dealing with don't impact the businesses, with an asterisk, and that asterisk is if you're a gas station, you very well may have to move your gas station to a new spot down the road that has better access And so there are caveats to that. But for the most part, the data says that 80% of the businesses will do at least as well or better than they would have done before the project. That's the tool that we want to try and use to engage the unhappy businessman about the access management project. So if you go to www.teachamerica.com, then right in the middle is the Corridor Visualization Explorer. You can also find it on the Louisiana DOT website, but this is available for you to use and to try out. So basically, if we have the angry businessman who uses this tool and hopefully discovers for himself that, well, gee, there might be a reason for this. You know, I may not be happy with the solution that you've come up with, but I see why you're doing it. If we can actually move the businessman to that level of discussion, then we can say, all right, how can we get what we want and you get what you want so that hopefully at the end you're a happy person. And so this is the tool that has now been developed. Do I expect 100% of the people to do this? No. But can we move a significant portion is really the question. And this is just this is a graphic that I put together in trying to talk about roundabout specifically. How do you deal? There's a lot of pieces to this, and I'm not going to explain the graphic completely, but you basically have to show what the problem is so that people understand it, build an approach that clarifies the concerns and engages a dialogue so that then you can visualize what that solution is in a manner that people can understand it and accept it and hopefully support it. Or even if they don't support it, they don't fight it, because we know that there's a few people that can really make a big difference. So in summary, basically think, show, and ask. There's a lot involved in doing that, but I think that's the basic premise of what we're trying to do. That's my presentation. Have you got any specific questions? They've just implemented the law. And now that they've implemented the law, all of a sudden people are noticing this, saying, you want to do what? You know, they've had public involvement for a year. But now that so it has not gotten the level of research, and that, especially those before questions, that says, is this going to make a difference? That was actually the original research project was to do that, but they said, we've got enough money to build the tool here. One of the things that is actually built into it is a survey. So there's a built-in survey inside the tool that people can use, but it hasn't, I haven't seen any responses yet because it's only been out for a short while. So the jury's out on that. So anyway, think about the projects that you are dealing with here, and hopefully these concepts may help as you're going through the next 3 days in this conference. Thank you.